Okay, what do you need, Dallas? Today, as we go through the lecture, and remember, we talked about that on Tuesday, and that was the fact that we can set up a help file within every module we create for our library that will allow the end user to see what's going on and what their options are, and I'll show you what I put together for the one that I'll do for Jim. We did this. What's your thoughts on your module, and so on. And those of you who didn't get to play today can play later in the semester. Don't worry. All right. So Python modules. Let's talk a little bit more. We got to see what they look like, but let's get in to some of the details about it that will help us doing in the coding that we're about to do. So first of all, let's look at a quick definition. It's just a file containing Python code. All right, and we identify it with the DEF Python reserved word, and that allows us to call that module literally from anywhere. So some things that our modules can do, they can define a function. We already have seen that. Hopefully you all did that in your fundamentals class. It can define variables, but what's the limitation of that variable? Olivia?
Limitation of the variable?
Yeah.
It doesn't work outside the function.
Very good. It does not work outside the function.
So there's global variables. Yeah,
Well, there are global variables too, but the limitation is if we define just a straight variable and don't make it a global variable, then it's not going to be, that variable won't be available outside the function. And really the recommendation is you don't do that. If we're going to define a global variable, we want to define it within the structure of our program, not necessarily within a module. And I think you'll see why as we get further into modules. The other thing we want to look at is we know we can pass a value or potentially different values using a list function back to whatever the routine was that called that module. So, good. The right answer from the question is it's a locally used variable. Also, we can create class objects, and we're going to get into classes after we finish the modules. So what we would create using a module is a class object instance. And we'll talk more about classes and instances and how we create them in a week or so. And then, of course, the ideal thing for a module is that it runs repetitive commands. And so in the modules that, or the library that we're going to create going through class, these are repetitive things that happen continually. And this is actually related to pilotage, flying an airplane. So a variety of times during a flight, you may have to do this. So we'll look at it and see how it works. Also, what we'll do with this module when we get it done is we'll look at how we would turn it into a standalone application. And so that'll come up, I think, just before we go on spring break. You all leave for Fort Lauderdale or wherever you go. Modules, some points to remember. They are only available after they are imported. So you need some kind of shell program that's going to import all your modules from the library that you're going to use, or you're going to have to know what modules you want to use. So they have to be imported first. Because of that, the import statements are usually at the beginning of the code. that you're going to write, or the script that you're going to write. After the definitions, there's a debate, and either way I think is fine. After any local or global variables you're going to create in the shell program, you would import any library modules that you're going to use. One thing a module can do is import another module. So a module can call a module, and if that module is not already active, the calling module can actually activate it there. And we'll look at how that might happen going forward. But a module can call a module. The other thing is, and I don't know why some students feel that way, but a module only needs to be loaded once. And I had a student in this class last semester. For 2 weeks, he thought every time he used a module, he had to reload it, and of course, things just weren't working out right. But we only load a module one time. That's why we put it, one of the reasons why we put it at the beginning of the script that we're writing. We load it, we forget it, and then we can call it anytime we want to. Okay. We can use a from statement from my library, import a specific module. And if you're only going to use certain aspects of a library, you might want to use the from statement and the import statement. If you're going to do the entire thing, then import the entire library, although that's not a recommended way to do Python. Some other points. Where should the library live? Well, we've got a couple of different options with that, and we talked about those on Tuesday, but basically you're looking at either a portable device or in the cloud somewhere if you can always get to the cloud, or on a drive if you're always going to be using the same computer. One thing that will help you with that is as you go through determining where you want your library to live is knowing what Python does to look for a library. And the first thing it does is that it will look in the current project directory. Now, that's a good bad thing. If you're only going to use it with that project, okay, that's fine. If you want to use it with other projects, then you may have to create another way to handle it. But you'll find out also when we make this a standalone application, if the library lives in that project, then it'll be compiled with the script that we're writing. So it becomes an easy way to do it. The second thing, though, the computer or the script will do is look in the system path, and it'll look at the default path that's been established for the computer and try and find out if your library is there or not. Now, we looked at Tuesday on a way to figure out or automatically include our library path in our script, or put it into our system path, and that's the code that you see on the screen right now. Aaron, what do the double slashes mean?
Don't know, sorry.
Okay, that's good. Liz.
I don't recall right now, I don't know.
Okay. Garrett Wood.
I assume there are parts of different, or like when you're looking at them inside the library program, those are what separates them. They're each like different directories and stuff like that. Or separate from each directory, is that right? Or
No.
those at all?
Helmy.
It's part of the path.
Yeah, no, there's a specific reason why we have double slashes there. Jason. All right.
Maybe so it won't find it?
No? Okay. Quotation marks. If I had backslash in here, what would Python do?
It would make a new line.
Okay, and so it reads it as escape. Okay, so if I only had one backslash there, Python would read it F:\escape py, error, no escape sequence for py. Okay, so we have to put backslash, and Python says, oh, backslash, you want a backslash there. Okay,
One line.
you want one backslash. This,
So, we're right, it's a directory, but it's just formatting of Python.
it's the Python formatting, okay? So, all right, very good. One for the faculty member and none for the class. Okay, but this is a nice little piece of code to have in, if you keep a notebook on coding like I do, I have to bring it in and show you. This is one that I can never remember, and I look it up in my notebook. And it says, if the path I'm looking for is not in the system's path, append it to the path. And it'll put it in, and then your library will work without any problem. So let's look at a requirement. Create a series of pilot assistance tools that use a common menu. The menu should include options for weight and balance calculations, distance, rate, and time calculations, traffic pattern and leg computations, and altitude, fuel, and frequency computations. I may have spoken Greek to you, but by the time we get done, you'll figure out how to do all that. All right? So, what are we going to do? Where do we start? Let's start with making a menu module first. All right? And we can start with a menu, and at least that'll get our creative juices going, and then we'll talk about how we do at least a couple of these going through. So, go ahead and start up PyCharm, and I've set up my project as Aircraft Library. You can call yours anything you want to. You can put it any place you want to, just remember where it is.
I have a question.
Yes.
We kind of run into last night. If we put it on the computer, let it automatically put it on the computer, we weren't able to get it to switch over to the bus drive. At least not very easily.
Okay.
Okay, so, and then she was trying to put it onto the bus drive right away, but it would only put it into, say, F. But it wouldn't let it go anywhere else because it would say a read-only file. So, do you have to put in all of the additional information?
You're going to have to tell it where it's going to live. Okay? And this is why I recommend you use the thumb drive. And really, if you're going to use a thumb drive to create this, then don't start PyCharm and try and open it. Go to the thumb drive and open it.
So have PyCharm on the thumb drive,
Yeah,
which is what?
yeah, is one way to do it. Exactly. Okay. So go ahead and create a new project folder. I called mine Aircraft Library. Call yours whatever you want to call it. And then, once you have that created, go ahead and create a new script And I called my script menu, and I called my module menu. You can do that. You'll see how we import that in just a couple of minutes. But what I have done here is created the beginnings of a help file. And notice how it's done. I've defined my menu module, 3 double quote marks, and then I type in the information. Now, there are a bunch of different formats that you can use. This is loosely the Google format of module documentation. And you can look them up online. Python has their own. We can play around with it, but the key is it's for anybody who knows enough to ask for help to see a little bit about what's going on in your program. And if you're creative and you want to make your own menu up on the fly as we're doing this, by all means, feel free. I need to bring those faculty members in here. You all are typing fine. Once you have the comment typed in, then after the 3 double quote marks at the bottom, press your enter key and then type in return parentheses. And it should be indented. Notice that the comment that we're using is indented. Now, am I violating any rules by using return parentheses and not sending anything back?
No.
Very good, Sean. No, we're not. Very good, Helmy. No, we're not. No, you don't lose points yet.
Yeah.
All right. What other word? Oh, let's pick on somebody. Julio, what other word could I use other than return to end that? There might be 2 to end that module.
I want to say break.
Break would work. Okay, 3. There are 3 possible words. All right. You came up with the one I didn't think of. Okay. Somebody think of another one. Sean? Exit would work, and there's one more.
Quit.
Quit. No. Not quit.
Would it be
Escape? Nope.
Pass?
Pass. What? Tell us what pass does, Garrett.
If I remember right from last semester, pretty much as you run the script and whatnot, if pass comes up, then it'll just kind of like skip in a way, I guess. Yeah, that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, skip is a good way. It'll just finish. Okay, so we could have used any of those. So we put return in, and next we want to go ahead and take a look at a shell script. So what I've done is created this shell script. Got a definition in. 2 things I want you to look at. Notice line 9, I'm importing system. Anybody know why I did that? Tell me.
Because you have to look inside the computer to.
Very good. Right. System is going to allow us to do all this internal path messing around. All right. 11 and 12 again are my path. Now, let me give you a footnote on this. you can use a variable to create this function, to create the string here that has your path definition in it. But you can run into problems sometimes as to where you put your backslashes and so on. So I like to type it out. Either way is fine. Experiment with creating a variable for your path. In fact, come to think of it, if you created a variable and you went to a different machine, you might be able to adjust it. All right, anyway. Line 9, 11, and 12 are important for us to look at. Now, line 14, whatever you named the file that you created to put your menu in is going to come first. So the file I created was called menu, and then the module inside that file is called menu. All right? That way it's easy to remember. Menu, menu. So what I want to do here is I'm going to run a test at line 17 out to menu. What am I going to get back if I've coded it properly? A blank line, right, nothing. All right, then line 18 is something that we did on the command line on Tuesday, and we're going to actually do it in our program today. I want to make sure that my start of a help file is going to display properly. So the way I do that is at line 18, help menu. All right? And since we've already imported it, it knows what to do. So I'll give you a few seconds to type that, and then we'll look at how it works. When you're ready, we want to run the program, and if everything worked correctly, you should see something like this. There's, it ran, it called the function, nothing happened because we sent back a blank return. By the way, if you used exit, none of this worked. But here's what we get for the help file. That's how we called it, and here's the information that we have so far. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it still didn't work. Still didn't show up for me.
Okay, what did you use to close out your module?
I used everything you used. I used return.
You used return.
Parentheses.
Okay, I'll take a look at it in a second.
I think if they wrote the path, maybe, or what the name of the module they named it, if it was different. 'Cause
Go ahead.
I named it differently, and
Yeah, you cannot use the path that I used.
yeah, that's what
You
I'm
have to
saying.
use your own path. Is that what, did that help
So
it?
Well,
insert
mine-
aircraft library.
So the path, the path name you use is the name of the project, like the file that you have.
Yeah, and I don't have, let me see if I've got it in a slide here. No, I don't. Darn it. That path is actually displayed on the navigation window for PyCharm. If you look up next to your project name, in light gray, you should see something like C:\users, your username, that's your path.
Yeah, that's what I was
Okay.
saying. It's path.
Olivia,
Yeah, I see
was
it.
that it? Okay,
Try it out.
okay. So check that. Now I'm curious, how many people used Pass? And did it work? Okay, good. Do you want to go back to this code? Is that going to help anybody?
Did you save aircraft library?
Go a little, we'll go a couple of more slides and then we'll hang it up for today. So, This is actually the module that I've created. And so I can use this module anywhere I want to. Again, notice at the top, I've got a comment, bang sign, Python 3. So it'll run in Python 3. If only 2.7's on Jim Romani's laptop that he flies with, it won't run this program. Or at least it won't run this module. Here's my standard description. Here's the menu, and we've got started there. So the next thing we probably want to do is put in what is our menu display going to look like. And it's going to look something like this. So it's added underneath our help comments that we have. And those of you who were in my fundamentals class, standard menu, item equals input. We're going to generate a string value. We're using numbers for the menu item selection because it's hard for somebody to screw up typing in the number 1. All right. One of my little peccadillos again is that I always have exit as 0. So if I wanted to add 20 more things here, I could do that. 0 would always be at the end and no problem. Also, one other comment on the code. If the user decides they want to exit, there's no use to send them back to the calling program. So I put if item equals 0, exit right there in the program. Now, going forward, Jim may want some things done when he exits. Maybe we need to dump variables or something like that. So we could add that in here. But it's more efficient, I think, to go ahead and put that exit right where it's going to happen. So if you have your code running, go ahead and give this a shot. It'll be out on, good grief. It'll be out on, for those of you at home, the clock's going crazy. This will be out online in the PDF this afternoon. You can look at it, you can play with it all you want to. The results of running this, let me show you that, is this. We get 1, weight and balance, 2, distance, rate, time, 3, pattern legs, 4, altitude, fuel, and distance, and then 0, we exit the program. And the only one I could really test right now is entering the 0, so I entered 0, and the process finished without any errors. So relatively successful attempt.
So it's like just a help file, you can say?
Well, this is a help file, but each one of these menu items, we're going to have something associated with it. And the decision that we'll have to make on Tuesday will be, are we going to include them all here, or are we going to make them separate modules on their own, or are we going to include what actually happens when we select weight and balance in the shell program? So there are several different options, and we'll walk through doing that and some reasoning, and then decide how we want to proceed on Tuesday. Go ahead,
I
Helm.
guess writing them on a different module would be best.
All right, Helmy votes for different module. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
All right, Dallas.
And this goes right below the return statement.
This goes right.
Or is it on the?
No, the return statement is down here at the bottom.
Okay, so we're just moving the return statement down. Are we on the?
You're going to move. We are on the module, and what we've done above here, I didn't put it on because then I can't expand this. Above here is our help statement with our triple quote marks. And then underneath that, we're going to put in our menu selection. And then just to make sure that I don't have problems with the code, I did if item equals 0, else return. All right, so it's always going to go to else if the item doesn't equal 0. And thinking ahead, I put return item because we know we're going to have to do something with that selection right now. Either a separate module, as Helmy suggested, or program something in here, or choose another option. All right? Do you have any questions at all on the logic of what's happening? Okay? And you can see the different options we have coming up for next Tuesday. So what we'll do to give you a picture is that we're going to go ahead and create this system. And then your graded part of this will be to take a system that you tell me you're going to create, and then create a small library that will run your modules for something specifically related to you. Okay? Hence the discussion about what kind of module or what kind of library, what you would do to get the juices going. All right, so again, this is what happens. What we're going to do next class, we're going to get more on modules, we're going to talk more about testing, and we'll probably have more bonus points. So if you want to stay around, and I'll help you troubleshoot your code, and I can stay until 12:30, unless Dr. Tippin comes hunting for me again. I got drug out of class yesterday. Wait.